Okay, good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gary Mond. I'm the chairman of the National Jewish Assembly, and it's my very great pleasure to invite you and to see you all, so many of you here, at this Zoom meeting where we're going to listen to Vahid Beheshti talk to us about what's going on in Iran and the prospects for the future. I'm going to begin by introducing Vahid, and then he will speak for about half an hour, and then there'll be opportunities for questions and answers. Can I remind everyone who wants to ask a question to please go to the bottom of your screen where there's a react button, where when you click on the react button, you have there's another button there which says raise your hand. Please, 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 if you want to ask a question, please click on that button. Don't just wave your hand in the air like that because I won't see you. I will, ask people in order that they put their hands up. So now let me just introduce Vahid for everyone's benefit. Vahid is an Iranian UK dual national and a journalist and a human rights activist who's been on hunger strike opposite the Foreign Office in London, UK. For years, Vahid has been tirelessly warning us about the dangers of Islamism, extremism and fascism. These threats have not only endangered the people of Iran, but also the free world that adheres to human values, because those values are now at risk. Over the years, Vahid Beheshti has clearly articulated these threats in numerous meetings with politicians in the European Parliament and also in our own British Parliament. He's repeatedly warned about the spread of Islamism, of extremism and religious fascism, which under the guise of Islam brainwashing young people in so-called Islamic centres and other institutions affiliated with the Islamic Republic of Iran in Western societies. In 2023, he went on hunger strike as part of a protest to encourage the United Kingdom government to proscribe the Islamic Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organisation. On the 72nd day of his hunger strike, Vahid was admitted to hospital and was taken into the care of the NHS. However, he continues to protest and he's camping out opposite the Foreign Office until the IRGC is finally banned. Vahid, over to you.
Thank you very much. In the beginning, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to be with you, real friends. I'm gonna go a little bit more our real comrades in this common front, in this common war that with a common enemy. At this very crucial moment that we are in. As just a few minutes before our meetings today, I would say less than an hour, Benjamin Netanyahu released his fourth message to Iranian people. And from my point of view, I think there is something going on. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu released his message to Iranian. He emphasized on the friendship between Iranian people and the people of Israel, which is true. If you follow that through the history, of course, the culture, the very close culture that we have together. I did emphasize that last year, January, in Knesset, in the Israeli parliament. I am the only Iranian who gave a speech in Knesset to the Israeli ministers last year. So I emphasize on our relationship, on close culture that we have together. Benjamin Netanyahu today emphasized on that, and he emphasized on that Iranian regime are terrified from Iranian people more than anything, more than Israel. So that comes with a very, I think, important message to Iranian people. So there is something, I think there is another attack. I'm not going to say when it's going to happen, how, I don't know. But when the message like that coming from Benjamin Netanyahu to Iranian people, that shows with the news that we had, I would say yesterday, that the Israeli military getting ready to target the Iranian regime nuclear facilities. So if we follow this event since October the 7th last year, we understand now this is not going to end here. we are going to see a new, as Benjamin Netanyahu said, and President Trump back it up, new face, new Middle East, new face for the Middle East. And if we follow the speed of developments, it's unbelievable. And no one could believe, I would say, 2 weeks ago, that Assad regime can fall in 11 days, fall down in 11 days. That was unbelievable, but it happens. Why? Because there is no Hezbollah anymore. Because Russia is engaged in Ukraine. Because Iranian regime is weaker than ever since 45 years ago. No one could believe we witnessed physical elimination of Hassan Nasrallah. They built up a very terrifying monster from Nasrallah and Hezbollah. But where is it now? Where is Hamas now? Even the Houthis, weaker than ever. But I am going to go further. The Iranian regime, the head of octopus, our common enemy, which their main target is not Israel. This is very important for us as Iranian, and you, our great friend, Jewish people, the Israeli people, to understand. The automated goal of Iranian regime is not an elimination and destruction of the Israel and Jewish people. Is Western civilization. I explain why. But what we have done, me, my wife, which most of you know her, and our human rights friends for past 18 years, it's focused, all our activity were focused on about the existential threat of the Iranian regime, not to the region, not to Iranian people, not only to Israeli people, to the people of the West, to the people of Europe, to the whole world. But their ears was blocked for whatever reason. Before October the 7th, they were thinking, most of the politicians that I had meeting with and conference with, there were some of them, they said that to me after October the 7th. They said, Vahid, we were thinking you are exaggerating when you were talking about the level of the barbarism and the brutality of Iranian regime and the proxies. They wouldn't believe us until they witnessed that with their own eyes on October the 7th. But we are talking about the existential threat of Iranian regime. What is it? The Iranian regime, I'm going to make it very short to understand first this. The Iranian regime is an ideological system based on one ideology, formed based on one ideology. Their ideology is this. They believe their 12th Imam, saint, which used to live 1400 years ago, is still alive. And they have prepared, they have their mission, they believe this, they have a divine mission to prepare our modern world for the appearance, for the return of the 12th Imam. His name is Mahdi. So for this reason, they have to destroy our modern world principles, order, in order to build their own ideal world for the appearance of their Imam. What is their ideal world? It's caliphate. So this is their automated goal. And they invest on that. They access the wealth of Iran, which is the 5th richest country in the world, and spend that wealth and money in order to create all these proxies, armed, two kinds of proxies. Armed proxies around Israel, because in order to attack and destroy Western civilizations, first step is destroying Israel. This is their ideology, is not plan, which we think we can sit down and negotiate with them. Is their ideology. They think they are here on the earth in order to accomplish this mission. So for this reason, they created all these armed proxies: Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, Hashd al-Sha'bi, all this Jundullah, and all these different proxies in the region, about 17, 18 armed proxies, and most important, unarmed proxies in middle of Europe. All these lobbies they have, all these groups that they have, their mosque, their Islamic centers, their all these affiliations that they have in order to build their army in Europe and America, brainwash our youth, radicalize them, and mobilize them, to be able to mobilize them. You saw 2 weeks after October the 7th, how they mobilize all these young Muslim in the streets of London. In one go, about 300,000, nearly 400,000 people they mobilize. It's not easy to mobilize all these people. They attack us with machete 1 week after October the 7th. And I was emphasizing in all my interviews, all the conferences that I had in our parliament, I was saying these demonstrations, huge demonstration, are organized by Iranian regime. And I was asking constantly. Once in one of my interviews with Times, I invited our intelligence service to follow the money, to see where the money comes from. It's not our job. You have to have a sophisticated intelligence to follow the money, because they got loads of link after each other to find out where the money comes from. And I was emphasizing on that until Khamenei, the supreme leader of the regime, he stated in one of his speeches, an idiot in London constantly repeating that we are organizing this demonstration in UK. So they are, this is their mission. This is their ideology. So that's why all of us, life, culture, civilizations are in danger. That's why I call it common war. That's why I call it, we are in one battlefield in front of a common enemy. So we have to be together. We have to support each other, back to back. And the message of Ali Khamenei today, and the message of Benjamin Netanyahu today was emphasizing on this. So if you follow the events, the chain of events after October the 7th, then today we will understand we are in a war, in a real war. I would like to talk about the reality, not about what we would like to see today as a reality. We are in war, like it or not like it. And Israel was under, and still under, the great pressure because of the propaganda of the Iranian regime. They are best when it comes to propaganda. They expended billions and billions for past 38 years, 37, 8 years under propaganda. They created all these different groups in Europe, in America, in politicians, in mainstream media, in order to be able to publish their message, their propaganda, which is, we are very powerful, we are untouchable. That was our image. I was asking any of my Jewish friends before that, I'm talking about 2 years ago, said, no, we cannot touch Iran. It's very powerful. When I went to my speech in Knesset, it was 2nd of January this year, which is about a year now. It comes to be a year. Last year, this year, 2nd of January, I was in Canada, Israel, and I gave a speech in Knesset. Even in that time, it was scary to talk about Iran because all the focus was on Hamas. They wouldn't talk even about Hezbollah. Of course, it was understandable. It's a war. You have to go step by strategy. But in that conference, in the Knesset, I have said we should not engage ourselves more than this with the tentacle of this octopus of terrorism. So we all are aware that the source of funding and everything coming from Tehran. I emphasized in that meeting, it's clear for me that the plan of October the 7th brutal, barbaric attack was designed in Tehran and the order came from Tehran. But it was a miscalculation, which I explained. They thought because Israel and Saudi Arabia, they were getting very close together. And it was very dangerous for Iranian regime because now they had a UAE, all Arab countries, relationship becomes normal with Israel, now Saudi Arabia. And if you all remember, 3 days before October the 7th, Ali Khamenei, in his speech, he says, I invite the Arab countries or Arab neighbor countries to do not bet on a loser horse. 3 days later, October the 7th barbaric attack happened. They thought by attacking that, and Iranian people, they were getting ready to come out in the continue of women life freedom movement to come back to the street again. We had a situation in Iran, which I don't want to take your time about it. Exactly same as Mahsa Amini. We had another girl in coma because of the hijab. So he was 16 years old, Armita Geravand. She was in coma, and people they were getting angry, and they were getting ready to come back to the street. That was the very red alarm for the regime. And from the other side, the normalization of the Saudi Arabia and Israel relationship. Suddenly, we all witnessed October the 7th happen. They thought by planning this, it was a plan, but I think they done this earlier than what they were having that in their plan. So by this, they thought, okay, Israel is going to attack them for a couple of weeks, then they're going to put pressure on Israeli government and force them to get the ceasefire. Same as always, same as past 10, 15 years. That's what they've done in past 10, 15. That was the miscalculation. They never thought kind of reaction from Israel. That was the most accurate reaction from Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and IDF. That was their miscalculation. They never thought Israel is going to come back like that and coming for destruction of the head of octopus. So that was their miscalculation, and now you are seeing them. In that meeting in Israeli parliament, I said, we should not be afraid to target Iranian nuclear facilities in Iran, the base of IRGC in Iran, and the House of High Officials in Iran. I was the first person in Iranians, first of all, to give a speech in Israeli parliament and say those things. So I was under the great attack after that for 2 weeks by the Iranian regime's agent with the mask of Iranian opposition. Oh, Vahid asking, because I had 48 media interviewed me when I was in Israel in 2 days. It was the title of all Iran International, BBC Persian, and all that. Vahid asking for bombing Iran from Bibi. And they were attacking me. I was under the great attack. Even when I came back from Israel, they came one Sunday night. I remember about 30 people about 1 o'clock at the night in front of my camp, and I start saying bad things to, anyway, accusing me to be cooperating with Israel in order to carpet bomb innocent Iranian people and all this stuff. I was under the great attack until the Iranian people in Tehran, capital city, hung a big banner about 5-6 meters from one of the big bridges, which was written in Farsi and English. Vahid Beheshti is our voice. We stand by Israel. The attack to me was stopped. 2 weeks later, the Iranian people hung another banner, again in Tehran, from another bridges, which was more interesting and very radical. It says, Vahid Beheshti brought the message of the children of the Cyrus the Great to Israel. Then underneath that, it was really interesting. They were saying, Bibi, we are ready. Ready for what? Because I was asking Israeli army and ministers to target their sites inside of Iran and don't be afraid. Iranian people, they said, we are ready. And after that, it was the message on all different walls in different cities, which we stand by Israel. We saw the flag of Israel everywhere in Iran hanging. So this was a build-up. And now today we are here. Great relationship between Iranian people, Israeli people, in this war, in this very crucial moment. I can tell you, I can't give you date and time, but I can assure, next stop, it's going to be Iran. After Syria, you are going to witness the fall of Iranian regime for many reasons. But most important, as Benjamin Netanyahu stated a few minutes ago, it's Iranian people. Iran become like a barrel of gunpowder now. It any time can explode. Iranian people are getting ready to come back to the streets. Any minute that can happen. And now, this time, we have Israeli military that they're going to support them. We don't have a Hezbollah's army to bring them into the Iran in order to suppress people. Because in Women Life Freedom, we had Hezbollah's army in Iran. They were suppressing Iranian people. So they don't have Syria anymore. Syria was very, very important for them. The collapse of Assad regime, I think it was their Achilles heel, because one of their very famous ideologue, his name is Mahdi Taib, and he's one of those few people who they have authorization from Ali Khamenei to give a speech. He said few years ago, I think 4 years ago, Syria is our 35th state. And if our enemy attack Tehran or Syria, Khuzestan, the state of Khuzestan or Syria, we have to go first, save Syria. Because if we save Syria, then we can come and save Khuzestan. Otherwise, we have to witness this battle in Tehran. This is what they have said themselves. And now there is no Syria. There is no Hezbollah. There is no Hamas. And Iranian regime become naked in front of the world. So they have no air defense anymore. Their air defense with the attack of Israeli military was destroyed completely. Their ballistic missiles facilities was destroyed at least for 1 year. They cannot build any more ballistic missiles. So now everything is ready for the next step, which is the head of octopus of terrorism, which is Iranian regime. So I'm now open to, I think I speak more than half an hour. Now I'm open to the questions of you, great friends.
So thank you so much, Vahid. If you'd like to ask a question, go to the bottom of the screen where it says react, click on the react button, and then raise your hand and I will call you. What I'm going to do, I've got a few questions already. Lawrence Julius and then Sandra Dangor. Lawrence. can take
I don't have a voice.
Lawrence, you're on mute. Not sure what's happening here.
He should be able to unmute himself, Lawrence.
Right.
Lawrence, you are.
I was going to ask about Iraq. Iraq has been very unstable for a long time. You've got some very sort of agitated Sunni Arabs. It's a dysfunctional country. You've got the Marsh Arabs. Wouldn't it be logical for what's happened in Syria to spread into Iraq next, and that client state fall before it falls in Iran? Your thoughts?
Definitely, is very possible. Definitely, because after Syria, as the analysts now talking about, it could be Iraq, but I think it might jump and go straight over to Iran, because if the Iranian people look, if the Israeli, as I understand, they have a plan to attack Israel. This is what I understand from their point, not because of just showing power to Israel or of kind of retaliation, because their own forces are getting really depressed and losing hope from the regime after the collapse of Assad regime, because they said after the attack of Israel to air and destruction of the whole air defense of Iran, they promised to their own forces, to IRGC forces and besieged forces, now we are going to retaliate. But it's been 2 months now, they haven't done anything, and Syria, Assad regime fall down as well. So for their own sake, they might do something same as before, which is, I think, Israel is waiting for. But regardless of that, what I can get from the message of Benjamin Netanyahu today, and from the news that we got yesterday, that the Israel military getting ready for targeting the nuclear facilities of the regime, I think after that attack, Iranian people will be encouraged to come back to the street. If that happens, so we might see the big crisis in Iran, and we might hopefully sooner than what we all think and expect witness the fall down of Iranian regime, which is going to affect Iraq much easy than what we think.
Lovely. Thank you, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Thanks, Lawrence, and thanks, Vahid. Sandra Dangor is next, then Richard Galba. Sandra, please come off mute. Sandra, you're still on mute. Oh, there we go. Oh,
just muted her. Sandra, can you come off mute?
There we go.
Sorry about that. Vahid, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you about Saudi Arabia. So you mentioned before that that Iran wanted to break the link, or the possible link, between Israel and Saudi Arabia. But Saudi has been moving closer to Iran over the last few months. They've been undertaking war games together, etc., etc. So how do you see that playing out? Do you see Saudi Arabia, regardless of what happens to Iran, moving away from Israel and looking for another partner?
No. I think this is what Saudi Arabia try to show to the Iranian regime. Look, Saudi Arabia, he doesn't want direct conflict with Iran at this time. He wants to be assured that Iran get attack Iranian regime. I mean, will be attacked more by Israel and possibly America, and then he's going to show his, I would say, real will. But I think Saudi Arabia, it's decided that he's going to normalize, especially now after all these events, after a year with Israel. They are not after any kind of conflict, but they know the Iranian regime has nothing to lose at this time. So they're trying to play with Iranian regime because they have Aramco. Do you remember a few years ago? So they launched a few drones to Aramco, and they disrupt their oil, export, for a few months. So it was, they don't want to pay that price now. But I don't think, no. They showing that, but they are coming toward Israel. That's my point.
Thank you, Vahid. Richard Galba. Richard.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, very well.
Hi. My question is about the Iranian army, not the IRGC, but the Iranian army. No revolt, internal revolt, will ever succeed without the army helping it. In Syria, the army collapsed. What is the position of the Iranian army insofar as its loyalty towards the regime?
I think if you compare the Iranian army with IRGC, they're completely different. But because of that, they put the top commander of the army, people, and the member of the IRGC. So at the moment, I can say the Iranian army is kind of under the control of IRGC. But when we get to kind of level of conflict between the Iranian people and the regime and the head of armies, they have some kind of confidence that this is a final battle between the people and the regime. Definitely they will change side and they will come to the side of Iranian people. So that's why Iranian people, they have faith on their army. But IRGC's mission is to not protect the country or the people. Their mission is they built in order to protect the regime. So that's the difference between our Iranian army and IRGC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith Rowe. Keith.
Hello, Vahid. Thank you for a very interesting update. We've long known that until the problem with Iran is sorted out, then all of the other problems across the region are not going to stop. So the update was very interesting. So two very quick questions for you, if I may. The first is, are there any indications yet as to how the new regime in Syria will behave with regard to Israel, whether they will stay self-contained and look after Syria, or whether they're going to try and join in the fight? And the second question is, how do you think, when things do kick off, as you say they will, and I'm sure they will at some point, how will this affect the 30,000 or so Jews still living in Iran?
Okay, let's first answer the first question. I think the new government, as far as I understand, look, it was a lot of propaganda when the movement started in Israel, I would say 2 weeks ago. They say, oh, these are terrorist group, these are very radical group. But we saw, no, it's not that. And even a few days ago, 2 days ago, I think they asked Julani, the head of Hezb Tahrir, Tahrir al-Sham, and regarding Israel, he says, we would like to have a good relationship with all our neighbors, with all the countries. And we don't have a power to fight anymore. People, they don't want to have to see war anymore. This was the reaction of Mohammed Julani. And next day, Benjamin Netanyahu reacted. We have a great we would like to have peace and relationship with any country and with anyone who wants to have peace with us. We are not after war. So it's very clear that the new government, which is, I think they are doing a great job. Look, they kept the previous prime minister there, and now they are going through a very peaceful transition so far. I don't know about tomorrow, But so far, it's very peaceful, and they're trying to do everything in order to avoid chaos and just killing, more killing. They are tired of all these brutal massacre for past, at least I would say, 13 years and all that stuff. This is regarding, I think, the situation in Syria. And I think what you see, we witnessed about 300 airstrike from Israel in 2 days in Syria. So there is no any military base. There is no any ballistic missiles base anymore. So it's clear that we are not going to see a wild Syria with their new system. So the second question was, what's going to happen to these 30,000 Jewish people in Iran when the conflict starts? Am I right about the? So it's not just about those 30,000 Jewish people in Iran. I think it's about all the Jewish people around the world, which we're gonna come back to Iran again after 45 years. The people who they love to, when I was in Israel, I was walking in Jerusalem in the bazaar, and a guy, we were speaking Farsi with my wife, and somebody came from his shop, and he was Iranian Jewish, who left Iran 45 years ago. He says, I'm counting the seconds to go back to Iran. And it's not just about that. Look at the relationship between Iranian people and Jewish people now, especially in past year. Look at the messages that come from Iran. You know what is the consequence of for someone who go and hang Israeli flag in Iran? That's death, that's hanging. But they take that risk and they go and do that. They constantly sending great message. Those 30,000 Jewish people, I think they will be increased by, I would say, 1 million Jewish. We are going to have 1 million Jewish people in Iran after this brutal regime.
Thank you. Barry Epstein, you're next. Please come off mute and please turn on your camera.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can
we
you
can't
hear
see
me?
you though. We can
Hello,
hear you.
can you hear
Hello,
me?
Barry. Yes,
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Sorry you can't see me tonight, Gary. Technical difficulties.
All right. Fine.
Vahid, very much indeed for your presentation. Do you think the current events in the Middle East and the way they are panning out have totally wrong-footed the Western democracies who believe totally in the rule of law and not pragmatism and common sense? That's my first question.
Would you repeat that? Sorry. Would you repeat that again? I missed some part of it.
Do you think the current events in the Middle East have totally wrong-footed the Western democracies who believe in the rule of law and all that drivel and not pragmatism and reality? Mr. Blinken mumbling, Mr. Lamy urging. That's my first question. My second question is, Mr. al-Jalawi has declared in his political mantras that we are going to create a caliphate and we are going to march on Mecca and Jerusalem. Can he be taken at his word? And the third question is, is Israel doing the West's dirty work?
Okay, let's start from the third one, so I can go step by step. Look, I wouldn't put it that way. I don't look at it as a conspiracy theory. Not Israel is not doing the dirty work for the West. It's I think Israel understand better than anyone in the world and all this country in the world the danger of this threat, because he's experiencing that. What happened to Israel on October the 7th, the brutal, barbaric massacre of about 1,300 innocent people, it's giving the message, final message to Israel, which is enough is enough. Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli government and Israeli IDF, Israeli military, they knew they are going to be under the great pressure of international world, because they don't understand, or they don't want to understand, the threat of this brutal ideology. They don't understand it. I am from there. I understand it. They executed my cousin. They kidnapped my best friend from Ruhollah Zam. They took him to Iran and they hanged it. I experienced, I felt their brutality, their barbarism. Israel felt that, I would say, in a very, I would say, bad way on October the 7th. So that was the red line for Israel. He knew what he was. He's not doing a dirty work. He's doing a favor to the world. So Israel is fighting for the whole world. As I said in the beginning of my talk, I said Israel is not the automated goal of Iranian regime. It's the first step. Their automated goal is Western civilization in order to create their world, which is caliphate, in order to prepare the world for the return of their imam, their saint. This is their ideology. It's crazy. Maybe is unbelievable for you people. Maybe you're laughing at me at this time, but this is what they believe. Go and look, read the books of Muslim Brotherhoods, Hassan Banna, and all these the founders of Brotherhood, Sayyid Qutb, and others. They talking clearly, not about this ideology of Shia, Ali Khamenei Shia, but they talking about creating their ideal world, which is their caliphate, Islamic State. So they are very good. Israel is not doing a dirty war. He knows he's going through a lot, but he has no choice to defend itself, to defend its own people, but in the same time defending all of us, our culture, our civilization. So that was the third question. The second question was Giuliani. What tell me the date of that speech of Giuliani? It wasn't recently. So it was related to, maybe you're talking about 11 or 12 years ago. That's what you are talking about. Giuliani stated in his speech, he says, I was young and I was radicalized. I was a radical person. I changed. This is what he said himself. Look, I'm not going to say this is absolutely right or wrong, but his action showed us his change, or his pretending, or whatever. He's not the same person. His action showed he's not the same person. He announced a few days ago compulsory hijab for women in Syria is forbidden. So that's not a view of somebody which people, some propaganda system trying to introduce to us. So that's from other one. Going back to the first question, look, our leaders, unfortunately, are in deep coma. I've been camping for 660 days, 660 days in front of Foreign Office. It started with 72 days hunger strike, 2 weeks in hospital, St. Thomas Hospital, 1 week in Safest, because when I was in hospital, we found that the IRGC's clergy issued fatwa for my head. London Counterterrorism Unit had at least, as far as I remember, 12 or 13 meetings with me outside of my camp, because I won't go there. And they tried everything, God bless them, to convince me to leave there, because they said, this is dangerous for you. Any minute they can come and eliminate you. this is not giving even a hint to our leaders why this person is there and putting himself through all these critical situation to tell us what. They don't want to look at it. The last response that I've got from our government, it was from David Cameron, which he says, we would like to keep our communication channel open, because if we proscribe IRGC, they will shut down our embassy and our communication channel will be closed. So my response was to him, what is our achievement with keeping our communication channels open for past 46 years? We couldn't even stop one of their execution. We couldn't even stop one of their terrorist activities in our land. We couldn't even shut down one of their centers, which they're radicalizing our youth. So they have because I think our leaders are not politicians anymore. They don't have any kind of clue about the ideology of this brutal and evil system. They have no idea which our democracy, our values, I'm talking about British values, are in great danger. Soila Braverman, she has stated the greatest danger that we are facing now for our national security is IRGC. It's not me. Soila Braverman was Home Secretary. They don't take it even from her. They didn't take it even from them. So this is the view of our leaders from here. They promised, Labour Party promised 4 times in past year before they come to power, that if they come to power, they are going to first proscribe IRGC. But I knew that was false promises. They just wanted the vote of Iranians. Okay, they might got it and they forgot about that. But it's not about Israel anymore. It's not about Iran anymore. It's not about a region anymore. It's about here. The people of Iran, the people of Israel, the people of region, they understand. They felt this evil ideology. So they felt it with all their beings, and now they are fighting, and they will succeed. But what's going to happen here? Look at the Islamism here. Look, I'm Muslim myself, but I'm against Islamism. I'm standing until my last breath to destroy Islamism ideology, because Islamism, you are Muslim, that's perfect. Because look, first of all, anybody claim that he's Muslim, he has to have more respect for Jewish people compared to Muslim people. Because if you read Quran, it gives a very special place to Jewish people. First of all, in Quran, in few verses, it says this land is belong to Jewish people, and because these are the very special nations, most of the prophets are from these nations. So they are not Muslim. That's maybe some different kind of, they are believing in different kind of, I would say, book. Islamism is when you bring your radical ideology from your home to the street, and you're trying to impose that to our children, to our people. That's the moment which we have to stand against it and not let it to spread. Not it's what is happening in the Middle East is, I cannot agree more than this with what's happening in Middle East at the moment. Israel is doing great job. I couldn't agree more than this with Israel. Israel army, IDF, is the great army with the great principle. They could carpet bomb Gaza in 2 days, in 1 day. They gone through all these difficulties. They gone through all this pressure, and they done kind of surgery, street by street, close by close, house by house, to go and eliminate the terrorists, not civil people. But what is the strategy of Iranian people and Hamas? Using civilians against them, because the life of us, the life of their own people, is got no value to them. But look at the value that life of each person has for Israeli government, has for Israeli idea. What they do to go and rescue one hostage or one of their prisoner, they do everything. But look at them. They say, okay, he's gone martyr. Oh, he's gone or she's gone to heaven. They see us as an object. Anyway, I can go on and on and on. But this is my response.
Thank you, Vahid. Thank you so much. Faisal Bashir, your turn.
Okay. Good evening, sir. My question to Vahid is that do you think Iran is the only threat to Israel and the Western civilization? My point is that, for example, this Julani, he has replaced Bashar al-Assad, but he was a member of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and he has a violent past. Now, I would give the example of Karim Khan, who was attempting to prosecute Bibi Netanyahu in International Court of Justice. Now, he belongs to a sect who are victimized in the whole Muslim world by the same Muslim barbaric ideologies. And look at him, he doesn't understand, and he's trying to persecute Netanyahu, who's fighting the war of freedom, fighting the war of the West. So I don't think that, for example, if the Iranian regime is replaced, tomorrow it's replaced, it would again be replaced by another barbaric faction, which would fight the Israel and which would fight the Western civilization. The problem is the ideology which they carry. It's not the Iranian regime, is the Assad regime or Iraq. It's the main ideology. I can't see that West is prepared to fight that ideology.
Okay, can you give Vahid a chance to answer? Vahid.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, Israel is not waiting for the West to go and defend them, first of all. So he's doing everything to defend not only themselves, even defend the West, because the West didn't so far didn't stand the sign that they showed us. It means they do not understand the level of the threat. But when you are talking about, for example, replacing Iranian regime with another barbaric regime, I think that's not possible. If you know Iranian people and Iran culture, and you have knowledge about the level of our resistance and fight in past 45 years in front of this barbaric regime, you wouldn't say that at all. Definitely I would say the next regime, the next government in Iran will be the great friend of Israel. And this is what I have said in Israeli Knesset. I said, we have two choices. This is 11 months ago. I said, we have two choices. Wait for the Iranian regime to gaining access to nuclear weapon, and then you are not going to welcome another North Korea, because North Korea have a nuclear weapon only to protect themselves. This is an ideological regime, which if they gaining access to any kind of nuclear warhead or anything, they will use it straight away. So this is the first option that we have. Or the second option, put our hands in the hands of Iranian people, get rid of this regime, which is the head of octopus, which is happening now, and then the world will see what the great nation of Iran and the great nation of Israel will build in Middle East, not just in Middle East, in the world. So this is not about if Iranian regime goes down, this is the head of octopus. This is a source of funding. Syria is nothing now. 300 attacks in 2 days. There is no ideology anymore. Ideology needs weapon, needs to be materialized in the physical world. There is no any facility to be materialized anymore. So that's why I said we are not after war. We are actually after peace. We are trying everything in past 45 years to bring peace in Middle East. But now the only way, unfortunately, to reach peace in Middle East and the world is to go through this war and get rid of Iranian regime.
Thank you. Anne Melrose.
Thank you. Extremely interesting, enlightening, but also I would like to just say I'm not an intellectual. I'm quite a simple person that's really loves Israel, loves the God of the Bible, and believes in it wholeheartedly. And I just want to know, what can I do? How can I help? How can we in this UK, in this country, prevent Islam from taking over? Because it gets you down. It can be quite depressing to know, and it just seems that you're banging your head against a brick wall and that no one's really listening, opening their eyes to see what's going on. And how can we prevent this from happening?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a very, very, I think, very important question. I think we have to have a great hope. Of course, we see some kind of sign here in UK, I'm talking about here, then that put us off. Sometimes we lose hope. When you see 2,000 radical people, they come and pray in front of number 10, that's not the pray. I'm from that culture. I know when they come and pray in the street, it's a kind of dominating their ideology to you. That's Islamism. That's sending a message, we are calling for war. So, but we have to keep our unity. We have to continue the work. As I said, look, we've been here 660 days in front of Foreign Office. It was very cold days and cold nights. It was the days that we got attacked. It was the days that it was very hard. But we know we have to continue. We will definitely win. After the collapse of Iranian regime, you will see the great effect even here, because the source of funding will be dry. Many of these affiliations, they feed from Iranian regime. They will be supported by Iranian regime. So first, we have to dry the source of this radicalism, radicalization, and the fund of that. Fund is very important. Fund is very important. When there is no fund, then it's going to be very easy to target these little groups here. And not when I'm talking about targeting them, we have to do the cultural work. So we have to get together as they getting together and talk. For example, my part is to talk about, okay, are you guys Muslim? They come in front of my camp, 100 of them sometime. First, they come to beat me. And then I'll come and talk to them. I said, okay, you are Muslim. Oh, yes, you are against Islam. I said, no, how can I be against Islam? I'm Muslim myself. Then they will be surprised. So why you put, say, here, save UK from Islamism, fascism and terrorism? I said, because Islamism is different from Islam. So we have to educate these people. You have no idea. Sometimes I spend 45 minutes with some of these young people. They're all about 18, 17. They come first to beat me. But after half an hour, 45 minutes, they just appreciating me. They want to shake my hand. They want to, because they are just, I'm not talking about myself. I just refer them to their own holy book. I said, just go back and read your own book, and you understand why what are you fighting? You're fighting Jewish people. So in your own book, give more place and more respect to Jewish people compared to Muslim people. How can you talk about Jewish people like that? Anyway, it needs work, and we need to constantly contact our MPs, our politicians. Of course, they might sometimes not answer you, but it needs constant work. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much. We've got time for 4 more questions. There'll be Simon Redding, followed by Therese, followed by Leonid, followed by Astrid. Simon.
Gary, thank you very much. Absolutely fascinating insight. And I totally agree about the UK politicians. I'm afraid they are clueless when it comes to understanding Shiite Islam, which is, and I'm afraid a lot of it is due to the Foreign Office. But the questions I'd like to ask really is this: that we've got a potential regime change from what I call Iran to Persia, and there's three areas I'd like to ask. One is revival. There is a strong Christian revival going on in Iran at the moment. I wonder how that is affecting the situation in Iran, if at all. Second is infrastructure. Is it true that there are a lot of radicals who've been over-promoted and in charge of infrastructure projects in Iran, and things are looking a bit dire for Iran on that front? And the third point is apocalyptic. Is there indeed an apocalyptic foreign policy in Iran? Is that the truth, or is it just rumor? In other words, apocalyptic, I mean by the fact that they have to eliminate Israel first before the Mahdi returns. That's what I call an apocalyptic foreign policy. Could you give some insights into that, please?
So I start from the third question. I explained in the beginning of my talk, actually, I talked about that. Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely right. That's their and that's their ideology. Yes, their ideology is, I explain again. Their ideology is Mahdi is alive after 1400 years. They believe in that. And they believe they have a divine mission. That's why they got successful 46 years ago to take over Iran. And their divine mission is this, that they have to prepare the world, our modern world, for the return of Mahdi. So what they need to do, it's turn our modern world into Islamic State, to caliphate. This is what Mahdi likes. This is what in their this is what in their books and in their stories talked about, that they will come back, will return if the world prepare in this way. So they see this as their mission. So in order to turn the world into Islamic State, to caliphate, they have to, I'm not revealing anything, they saying this in their speeches, clearly, blatantly. They have to destroy the order of the new world that we have, our values of human rights values, our democratic values, to build that. To do that, first step is destruction of Israel. So Israel is not the automated goal. So that's right. That's absolutely right. So then one of the questions was about the revival of Christianity. So Iran is a very diverse country. If you read the history of Iran, I'm talking about 2,600 years ago, in the time of Cyrus the Great, we have Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Mandais, all different kind of belief and religion and all sort of things, dervishes, Sufis. They were living next to each other with peace, love, and unity and harmony. But because this regime is a brutal, ideological regime, they cannot tolerate that. Because imagine if all these diverse, I don't call it minority, I disagree with calling any of these groups minority, because we don't have any right statistic. You cannot believe any kind of numbers and statistics that come out from this regime. So that's why I call it, it's a very diverse country. And yes, we have a rise of Christianity, because the version of Islam that they are witnessing, they are experiencing is very angry, is very brutal, is very, what's that? I would say radical. But the Islam that I believe is different. My version of Islam, of course, there are too many different versions of Islam, it's about 72 official version of Islam. But the version of Islam that I believe is the version of Islam that the king of Iran was talking about, Muhammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. He was saying, he always, when he was talking about his own belief, he was talking as a proud Muslim. The Islam of Rumi, the Islam of Hafiz, the Islam of all these great poets and Sufis we are talking about, which the tolerance is the foundation of this Islam. The love, they're talking about the love, they're talking about being one. For example, Sadi says we all are one body. We all are part of a one body, the whole humankind. So this is one version of Islam that I understand from my family, from the people that I know. But the version of Islam that now they are producing to the Iranian people, it's very angry, it's very radical, it's very brutal. Of course, the people of Iran, yes, we have a big number that, we have a big number that now they are going toward Christianity. So it was another question. Would you repeat that? Sorry, I forgot.
I think Simon was talking about infrastructure, weren't you, Simon?
Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. IRGC is not just a military group. So they have their hand in a big part of economy in Iran, big part of oil facilities and infrastructure. But I think when they see, as I said, as I explained about Iran army, which they confident enough, this is the final war and the regime will fall down, this part will join people as well. But they have to have a confidence, because, you know, if they turning your face to kind of regime in this battle, and Iranian people say that, for example, women life freedom, do not succeed, then you are going to face hanging or you're going to face execution. So they have to have confidence. This is a final battle and the Iranian people will overthrow the regime.
Thank you, Vahid. Therese.
Two fairly succinct questions, if I may. Is there a risk that the regime, if it finally finds itself backed into a corner, may go beyond its normal rogue behavior to being totally rogue? And might that depend on exactly when that happens, how fast they're getting towards having some sort of feasible nuclear warhead? And the other question is, has Iran actually played a blinder in financing South Africa, which has been suggested by various sources, to launch the legal cases in the ICJ and the ICC, such that even if the regime goes down, most of the world is still thinking that Israel is guilty of war crimes, genocide, and so on?
So let me start with this. After the fall of Assad regime, we all witness a different level of brutality in their prison when they open their doors of this prison, which Assad was denying for years. And yes, after the collapse of Iranian regime, there is definitely a relationship between Iranian regime and South Africa and ICC. Definitely, this is for me. I have 100% confidence in that. That was so. But this kind of information will be revealed after the fall of regime. That's the one. And then the very important question of you. No. Iranian regime is like, I would say, in Israeli parliament 11 months ago, I said this. Iranian regime is nothing than a paper tiger. Now is naked in front of the whole world. The whole air defense system was destroyed. Their ballistic missiles facilities was destroyed at least for 1 year. So they cannot do anything, and they know that more than all of us. But there is a danger, yes. If they're gaining access to nuclear bomb, to nuclear facility, yes, of course they're going to use it. They are crazy enough to use that. And of course, after using that, they're going to be attacked, they're going to be destroyed, but with what kind of price? That's why we have to act before it's too late. That's why, with the lowest price, with the help of Iranian people who they are ready to come back to the street to take their country back, we can overthrow this brutal regime and free not only Iran and Israel and the region, the world, from the hands of this evil regime.
Thank you, Vahid. Right, time for just 2 more questions. Leonid Yanovich.
Thank you. Vahid, you're a hero.
That's too much to describe.
IRGC, they spend, as I understand, about half of their huge budget on indoctrination of people. And they have an internal army of fighters who are ready to suppress good Iranian people everywhere in Iran. If Israel potentially takes out nuclear sites in Iran, how will it help good Iranian people if IRGC fighters with their Kalashnikovs are still there and ready to suppress any uprisings?
Sorry, I didn't understand the last part of your question. So if Israeli military, you said, target the nuclear facilities of Iran?
He was saying that Israel is successful in taking out the nuclear sites, but that you still have the IRGC running around in Iran with Kalashnikov rifles, and they'll kill lots of ordinary people.
So look, they tried everything, but now at this moment, as I'm speaking, there is no spirit anymore. There is no motivation for them, because I get my news from inside, from the sources that I have. They lost their motivation after the collapse of Assad regime, because the regime was always giving them promise that Assad regime is very strong. We are supporting them. There is no way Assad regime can fall, because Syria is very important for them. So after that, because I'm following some of their lives, the lives, the YouTube lives that they have, they lost their motivation. And I would say these IRGC's members are not the IRGC's members that 2 years ago and even 4 months ago. So they lost their motivation after the successful attack of Israel. So they know there is no way their leaders, their commanders will leave Iran soon, and they're going to be alone with Iranian people. How many IRGC's members are there, and how many Kalashnikov or rifle they have? We are about 85 million Iranian people who are thirsty for freedom and democracy, and we will do everything. We'll risk our life. I don't know if you saw this lady last night, what she did, and she put a live concert without hijab, with the normal clothes, live from Iran. So, or that a lady in the university, she's gotten naked when the so-called morality police gone to her and asked her to sort out their hijab. She just took all her clothes off. No, these IRGC's members are not the same one. I think they will join soon the Iranian people.
Thank you very much. Our last question is from Astrid Topiol.
Yep. Hi, it's actually Maurice. Maurice asking the question. Sorry to disappoint. Yes, first of all, thank you very much for all you do. Very, very impressive. So thank you for that. The question is the following: in all the demonstration that we attend, be it for Israel or Iran, there's always one figurehead, which is effectively the standard bearer, as it were, for the new Iran, which is Reza Pahlavi. And my question is this, which is, I mean, he's obviously a logical figurehead from outside Iran, but how credible is he within Iran? And what might his role be in the event of a regime change?
Look, Iranian opposition, Reza Pahlavi, I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great man himself. You know, on the 5th day of my hunger strike, he came with Miss Shirin Ebadi and visited me in my camp before anybody know that I am there. So I have lots of respect for him. But Iranian opposition is very diverse. It's not just that. So the people that, because you have that perception, because the people who came to the rally, especially with Israel, they only have the what's that picture of Reza Pahlavi there. Reza Pahlavi is a great figure, is a great brand, but there are lots of other, I would say, groups, especially in Iran, that they are fighting the regime. And I think the best way to know is the ballot box after the collapse of the regime. So Iranian people believe in democracy. Reza Pahlavi himself he believed in democracy. So the best way it's after the collapse of the regime. So the Iranian people will talk after the first election or the second election, which kind of system that they want for the future of Iran, and who are the people that they choose to run their country for a short term.
Thank you. In just a minute, I'm going to ask our advisory board member, Sandra Dangoor, to give a vote of thanks on behalf of all of us for this evening. But first, I just want to tell everyone about our future events. Next Tuesday evening on the 17th of December, we have a face-to-face event in St. John's Wood, where the guest speakers will be Hadassah Ben Ari, who's the author of Heroes of October the 7th and its heroic stories for children, and Carmel Efron, who is one of the survivors of the Nova Festival. And together they're going to share stories of heroism, resilience, national unity and hope from the 7th of October. Please do go to our website. You'll get details and sign up to come. That's Tuesday the 17th of December in St. John's Wood, London NW8. And of course, you'll be told the venue on the day. We've also got a trip to Israel from January the 26th through to January the 30th, where you'll get to meet some important Israeli ministers and get to see a whole lot of sites and issues relating to the events of 7th of October and beyond. So we've got a week in Israel, week beginning January the 26th. We're also going to have some other Zoom meetings, and you'll obviously be getting notified by email of our future Zoom meetings. I think there'll probably be another. Don't think there are any more before the end of the year, but there's certainly going to be some early in the new year. And we're going to have a debate at some point in January on the role of the police in the UK, which I know is very controversial in the Jewish community. And finally, can I say that those of you who are not members, please could you go to our website and join? It's only £18 for life or £5 for life if you're under 30. Thank you, and over to Sandra.
Thank you. And also this, few people have asked if this event is being recorded. Yes, it is, and it will be sent out in due course. Vahid, thank you so much, really, from the bottom of my heart, for taking time out from your camp protest to talk to us and impart a most insightful, realistic, and surprisingly positive analysis of events in the Middle East. Events are moving so fast, and I really hope that you will be able to end your protest very soon and return to your people. The alternative doesn't bear thinking about. I first met you a couple of years ago, and I have nothing but admiration and respect for your courage and tireless work. So I want to also thank you and your friends for your unstinting friendship to the Jewish people and to Israel, not only since October the 7th, but also the last 45 years and beyond. Thank you so, so much on behalf of us all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really
appreciate
appreciate that you guys gave me this opportunity to be with each other and share information, especially in this very crucial moment.
Thank you, Vahid.
Thank you.
And
Have a good night.
everybody enjoy the rest of the evening and see you all soon. Good night.